right? They really look back and like, man, there's something different about that experience. I can't quite put my finger on it. And it's the fact that that really intelligent doctor made the patient feel really intelligent and like they're making the good decisions. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. We have a 4-part series here, but we're building on this concept about being an amazing doctor versus an extraordinary doctor, being an amazing CEO versus an extraordinary CEO, being an amazing leader versus an extraordinary leader, amazing versus extraordinary. You need to know the difference. It's okay to be amazing, better to be extraordinary. With the closing thought of the episode, this is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. When we get to this episode, we should be pretty close to being done with the first quarter of the year. Good time to sit back, evaluate, see where you're at with your goals, how the year is going financially, what you plan on doing the rest of the year. Quarterly check-ins are always a good thing. I'm about to go to the P3 conference in the middle of April. I think that'll be a good chance for me to sit back, reflect, talk to my mastermind group, and get an idea of where I need to be better, what I need to improve in terms of the office, growing, scaling, the next steps. I have a plan in my head, but I need to see if it makes sense on paper. So I like to go in there, put it all out there, and see what they have to say. So that'll be kind of the goal. I'll share my thoughts, feedback, everything I get from them when I get back. Getting ready to go to spring break. This will be the second spring break where I'll leave the office and we'll have a business. A doctor will be in there doing work, and I think that's pretty awesome. The doctor that was the new doctor, thriving. We've really set up a great environment in terms of her schedule. She's kicking butt, taking names. It's been really cool to see how this has progressed. Adding a new doctor in June here. Need to get him up to speed, make him part of the team, and get him to produce as well as my first associate, as well as myself. We are really doing well and building something awesome. So that's something that we'll go into. What I want to talk about today is something that I've had a lot of thought and energy put in towards this concept, not only with myself, but with my associate that I have currently and with anyone that joins the office. And it's the idea of amazing versus extraordinary. And we're going to look at this concept in 4 different layers, okay? From a doctor, from a leader, specializing, and then as an entrepreneur. That's kind of the cycle, the perspectives that we're going to take. But this first episode, we're talking about being a great doctor. An amazing person, amazing people walk into a room and everyone notices them. Smart, intelligent, have a lot of charisma. An extraordinary person, doctor, walks into the same room and everyone notices themselves. They feel better. They feel empowered. And what I'm trying to get across to my staff, my associates, myself, is that the star of the show should not be us, should not be the doctor. Okay? It's very easy for us to be the smartest person in the room. All right, we have the highest degree. Majority of patients have no clue about the eye, and you can just sound very clinical, outlining things, and that's great. You're amazing. But when you're extraordinary, the patient feels more. They feel like they were heard. They have agency in their decisions and their care, and they want to keep coming back. That's how you build an amazing, thriving, scalable business. It's how you become a great doctor that get people to be knocking down your door to see you. They will wait months to get on your schedule. And that's what we want to build, right? So the purpose of this is to make sure that every patient is valued, They're confident when they leave the room that they've gotten the best possible care and they have a plan to solve their problems. Believe it or not, every patient that comes in your office, that sits in your chair, they are paying money in some way, shape, or form to see you. Give them their money's worth. So let's break this down into steps. Amazing versus extraordinary doctors. An amazing doctor, like I said, will sit down. They impress you with their intelligence. They tend to dominate the conversation. Their focus is on their expertise, their hours they put in, their education, the things that they've done, their past experiences. They have answers. And patients like this, they respect that. At the end of the day, they leave that exam room and their thought is, that doctor was really smart. I think when I first came out of school, that's where I started. I was valedictorian. I was brand new, started cold, and people come in. Where'd you finish in your class? You're a little young for this, aren't you? I didn't get young as much, surprisingly, but I did get that. And everyone knew I just started the business. They wanted me to, make a few mistakes and then they'll come in and see me after I figure it out. Well, I tried to impress them with my intelligence. I was the star of the show. And when I really started to grow, I started to embrace this concept of making the patient the star. And it's, again, something that I've evolved. And as I've sat back and been able to reflect on where I've come, what I do in the exam room, it's because I've embraced this concept of making the patient feel empowered. So those doctors, what I do is we try to ask great questions. We listen at a deeper level. We reinforce the patient and their decisions to have confidence in what they're doing, that they help come to that conclusion. They help get to that decision. It was something that they were going to do. We're just telling them it's the right thing to do. One of the things that I talked to with my associate when I sat down and said, hey, this is what you have to do. And I heard this from a med spa owner. And she said the key to empowering your patient, empowering your client is to keep everything conversational. And you're having a conversation with them and getting all the answers and information that you need. It doesn't seem like you're trying to impress them with your clinical checkpoints, bullet point list that you have to, look at the anterior seg, the doctor that goes behind the slit lamp and just checks off all the boxes of the things they're examining. It's the doctor that says, you've been behind a computer a lot. Tell me more about this. What's your day-to-day look like? When you're doing this, how do your eyes feel at the end of the day? Better questions. Conversation. They're revealing themselves to you and they feel heard and not taken care of. There's a difference, right? They are expressing their issues and you're hearing them and understanding what they're trying to say. And that's where patients will leave and they're like, I had a problem. They had the solutions, but they're working with me. We're a team in this endeavor to get where you want to be. And that's when they feel extraordinary, right? They really look back and like, man, there's something different about that experience. I can't quite put my finger on it. And it's the fact that that really intelligent doctor made the patient feel really intelligent and like they're making the good decisions. Now, how do you make a doctor feel, or how do you make a patient feel seen? Remember, most patients are used to this. I'm a number. I come in, I have 2 minutes with the doctor, and I'm talking to someone else. Number one, your presence matters. How long are you spending with a patient? And when you are with a patient, are you dominating the conversation? Instead of saying something like, your prescription changed slightly, lead with, your eyes actually look really healthy this year. You've been doing exactly what we've talked about. Great job. I saw, a little bit of change, but not as much as I'm seeing my other patients. You are doing awesome. You're doing exactly what we talked about. Keep up the good work. That's a different conversation, right? You've done a great job of taking care of your contacts. your tear film, your lids, whatever the conversation is, but giving them ownership. Now the patient feels like they're winning. They want to do a good job. Who goes to a doctor and wants the doctor to tell them, yeah, you're really screwing up. You're gonna have some issues if you don't change this. Now, we have to let them know that, but how can you give them a win? How can you build confidence and rapport? Things to think about. And as I'm saying, in this conversation, instead of always giving them solutions, let's give them ownership. Instead of saying, here's what you need to do, make it easier for them. Here's a couple of options that we have. This is the one that I think would be best for you, but I know you talked about having less time at night or wanting to do something a little more holistic. If we want to avoid the pharmaceutical options, this is another path that you can go down. I believe in both. This one's probably going to be best for you, but what do you want to do? When I do that, I'm going to lead the patient down the path I want them to go, but I'm going to make them believe they're the ones that made the decision. There's subtle ways you can do this in having that conversation, and we do it all the time, and it's giving them all the options, and this is something that you could do, or you probably heard of this. But I think based on what we've talked about today, how you operate, this is going to be the route you want to go. Yeah, right, doc, that is the route I want to go. Same method versus this is what you have to do. This is what's going to happen, period. Now, again, as I evolve and we go to the business and entrepreneurship, we talk more about having a vision, getting you to go where you need to go. There's an art to that as well. You can do this in a different way. When you're talking about dry eye treatment plans, you're going to be much more prescriptive, right? Less of this conversation when they're actually making the decision. But to get them there, we've made a funnel of leading us there. So it's the same type of thing, but when we get to the very end, we've already done this process of giving them options. I'm feeling them out as we go. Hey, you've tried these things. It didn't work. Let me do this work for you. Yeah, you're right, doc. I tried it. I couldn't. So it's still the same way. And there's a lot of different ways to get there. But you see what we're doing when we're doing this is incorporating them into the process. Not just sitting on your high throne, on your degree, on your education, and making them feel like they have no intelligence, no ability to make this decision. 9 out of 10 times when I explain it, the patient will look at me, you're the doc, man. You tell me what I should do. And I'll take ownership at that point and tell them exactly what they need to do. But I got to that point because we had this conversation. We played this song and dance to get there. We're a team. And I think that one of the things that I try to do is recognize that they have put in effort. The worst thing that I hear doctors say is, you didn't even try this, did you? I don't even think they're going to do this. They just instantly look at a patient, judge them, and that comes across in your conversation with them. Don't get me wrong. I have that thought of, I don't think they're going to do it, but I'm always looking for the little things that they've done or trying to make them put myself on their level in the sense that, I have 4 kids. I have tried to do warm compresses and I can't do it. My wife is sitting next to me on a nightly basis. I'm her eye doctor and I'm telling her you have to do a warm compress. And she looks at me and says, I just want to look at my phone. And I'm like, I get it. And I talk that when I'm talking to moms or people that are taking care of a lot of things, have a lot of things on their plate. And I say, end of the day, I get it. I just want to lay at my phone and not think. We have to do something about your eyes, the issues that I'm seeing, but I get why it's hard to do at home. The fact that you're even here, that you've done this little bit, whatever the win is, you're doing good on lid hygiene, you're taking the omega-3s. I'm proud. That's more than what most of my patients do. And that's why we have what we have, because we are the ones that will do that heavy lifting, because this is the hardest part. And they feel good like they've done a little bit. And they're gladly going to give me the area that's hard to do. But again, recognizing the effort of the patient. That recognition builds loyalty. You have to acknowledge them in this journey. If you think you're the star of the show and you have all the answers, I'm going to tell you this right now. You got to look yourself in the mirror because you're dropping the ball somewhere. Maybe on your eye care. When was the last time you got an eye exam? On your personal health? I know I wasn't doing great when I first started the office. When I had my kids and all of them were newborns, you have issues that you can't attend to because there's more important things around you. And recognizing that and being that safe haven, the person that's not judging them but hearing them and seeing their season of life and offering them solutions, that matters. There's a big difference in the doctor that will have that conversation and see it from their perspective versus the doctor that is just coming down on them. Now, certain patients, if it's really serious and going to have a big effect, like I've had patients that have macular degeneration that's gone wet and they're not going to see the doctor. They've heard from their friends that those injections just make it worse. I'll let them know, hey, you're going to go blind if you don't do something about this, right? You have to have that. You have to do this. And they make their decision, right? But I'm talking about the majority of the patients you see. Don't paint everyone with the same brush. See them as a person and look at where they're coming from. And like I said, that's the key is connecting with them on a human level, realizing they're not a person in a chair. They're a person that has a life that is taking time out of their busy life to meet with you because they believe you have something to offer to their health, their problems. You have solutions. They're trusting you to give them an answer. I am in a private practice. There's other private practices around me. I started this cold from nothing. I think every single day when I had no one coming in my chair, no phones ringing, every patient that walks through my door, I appreciate and I want to give them value. We will complain about patients that have a iMed plan or a $10 copay and they never get their glasses from us. I get it. I'm a business owner. But remember that they can go other places. They go to you because they trust you as a doctor. We've had instances where a patient comes in and they're doing a treatment and they don't know why they're there. And whenever that happens, I look at my associates, I look at my staff, and I say, they're doing that because they trust us. Why would they do that? Someone would say. My answer is because they trust you. That's the biggest compliment you can get. They're paying money for a procedure that they don't understand because you advise them to. But are you judging them? Like, why would they ever do that? Would you ever do that with your healthcare? Don't take that perspective. Realize you got to do a better job of educating them, getting it there, but they trust you. You got to separate that clinical aspect from the business aspect and then find a way to make that clinical aspect more valuable. Make your business more valuable. They value you. They just might not value that optical. They might not value the contacts you're selling. And are you giving them reason to? Or are you that 2-minute doctor that checks in, this, gets out of the room and lets someone else do all the heavy lifting? Those things matter. The thing I'll leave you with, when you make the patient feel extraordinary, when they're the focus, they're the star of the show, they trust your recommendations, they return consistently, and they refer friends and family. From a business perspective, that's how you grow because the patients will not want to leave your office. They love that feeling they have after they leave the exam room. They'll go somewhere else and they'll be like, it just wasn't the same. I've had patients come back and tell me that, and I take that as a huge compliment. I believe every patient or every doctor at some point in time has had a patient say they went somewhere else and they came back. How do you treat them? Do you welcome them? Do you connect with them on a human level? Amazing doctors and specialists are remembered for what they know. Extraordinary doctors are remembered for how they make people feel. In optometry, the best prescription you give a patient might not be the glasses, it might be the confidence they have in themselves, in the effort they're putting in the plan of action that you have agreed on with them. So many of my patients will go see the cataract specialist or retinal specialist, cornea specialist. And they all say the same thing. Yeah, man, they have a great organization. They are really getting people in and out there. There was a lot of people they saw. That doctor was really smart. They never come out saying, I feel so great about the experience I had there. They're happy with this, with the surgery or the outcome, but they're not feeling the same as when they leave my office, I hope. Because I have more time, I try to make them the focus. Those specialists, there's good doctors out there. They're really good at what they do. But 9 out of 10 times, I don't think they're making the patient the star of the show. That's how you set yourself apart. That's how you make yourself an office that's a destination that people will travel to go to. So think about that. Are you a really amazing doctor or are you an extraordinary doctor? We should all be striving to be that extraordinary doctor because we can be. We all want to be that extraordinary doctor. And I'm going to tie this in next week. Same concept, and we're going to apply to leadership because extraordinary doctors empower the patient. Extraordinary CEOs empower their team. And that's the next step in this evolution. We have the CEO mindset. I want you to be a great doctor. I want you to have great doctors. But more than anything, I want you to be a great business owner. And that's what we're going to talk about 1 week from now. That's what I have. I'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and I'll leave you with this quote. Friendly reminder that the life you want will cost the life you have. You can't wish for growth and not expect change. You can't ask for progress and not expect pain. You can't desire success and not expect sacrifice. So when the weight feels heavy and the sacrifices stack up, just realize this is not a punishment. It's the price. So much of what I've went through in the past 2 years has been me getting outside my comfort zone and having to accept a new version of myself. I love being the doctor that produces. I'm trying to create an environment where I'm not the biggest producer. I'm purposely hiring doctors to replace me as the primary patient care, doctor, and they're driving revenue. I'm creating a business. Now I still like being the doctor at a certain level. I still like treating dry eye, and especially I like growing the business more. It's been hard, and it's an ego shot to the chest. But when I look at the growth we've had, and I look at the environment I created, and I look at the podcast I just gave, it's really hard to be that extraordinary person that makes the staff feel good when they leave, associate doctors feel good when they leave, to create the environment where everyone can succeed. Really stinking hard. It's very easy in comparison to make an environment where I thrive, because I did that for over a decade. I was doing really good catering to myself. But when I first brought in another doctor and tried to have her do exactly what I was doing, no bueno, not so good. Had to revamp the whole system. And you know what? We are much better for it. Heck, I grew out of it, realizing some of the changes we made. That being said, are you willing to do that? Can you sacrifice the prestige that you've built up in your head, the identity that you've taken for something better? It's an unknown. You got to figure that out for yourself. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lilly, out.